Well, the problem with wrapping your mind around it is because you don't think like someone who has that sort of ideology. So you have, you know, a faction on the left, these progressive folks who are really, their agenda is to rid America of all guns. That is the agenda. Once you have the guns out of the way, then you can start.
But they say it's not.
They claim it's not, of course. Well, you can keep your doctor too under Obamacare, right? I didn't believe it when he said it, and I don't believe it even more so now. So just because but they're becoming quite brave at allowing the true agenda come through here, and then you're seeing more and more of it. The saddest part of this whole thing, aside from the tragedies, the murders themselves, the atrocities themselves, is that these organizations are using the media as as an arm to go out and manipulate little children, and to have kids who really don't quite know. You know, the human brain doesn't fully develop until about age 26 or 27. Women a little quicker than men. So you're getting a kid at age 12, 15, I don't care where they are in that. You know, maybe last week they were eating a Tide Pod. These are not the people that I want driving the political agenda about the Second Amendment in our country, and it's absolutely should be criminalized that these left-wing organizations and their arms called the media, not all of them, but a good chunk of them, are out there manipulating kids, using them as pawns, indoctrinating them, brainwashing them, and giving them words to say on their TV shows. And it's come out in the wash. Several people have come out and said, you know, this is what these folks over at CNN wanted me to say, and when I wouldn't say it, they didn't want me on their show anymore. Yeah. So we know what's going on. It's not rocket science. The unfortunate part is people that are uneducated about the issues. Right. Just get the little blurb, just get the little soundbite, and all of a sudden they think that's what's reality is. So we do have a job. We do have a responsibility. If you and I are going to walk around in the world and carry weapons, and if you and I are going to teach others how to do this safely and efficiently and effectively, there is a responsibility called educating as many people as possible around the truth about concealed carry, the truth about Armalite rifles, AR rifles, which means Armalite.
It's not assault rifle?
Not assault rifle, that's right. To me, every rifle is an assault rifle. I don't know how you can differentiate. You know, a bullet's gonna get you. That's a bit of an assault, in my opinion. And so this nomenclature that these folks want to pin onto this called assault rifle, it's absolutely misleading, and it's purposely misleading. Absolutely, yeah. Purposeful. This is a purposeful agenda that you and I. It's an agenda driven by an ideology that you and I can't wrap our minds around because it takes our freedom away.
Yeah, and for those of you that are listening, what Dr. Michael is referencing is a video that we watched just before we started this podcast, where you have a field reporter on MSNBC on the Brian Wallace show. For those of you who remember, Brian was the one that was allegedly shot down by an RPG, only to find that he wasn't.
Right.
But that field reporter is walking around interviewing kids, and he comes across a male, probably no older than 14 years old. Definitely not old enough to even drive himself to the rally.
No chance.
Ask the kid why he's there, and the kid can't even verbalize and articulate why he's there. And the field reporter is answering for him and speaking for him.
Is it Brian Williams?
What would I say?
I don't know, Brian Wallace or something, but it was a Brian Williams. Is that right?
Brian Williams.
Am I right?
Okay. Yeah, did I say Wallace?
I think maybe,
Brian Williams,
but that's okay. Yeah. I mean, we just want to get it. So
the guy that said he was shot down with
an
RPG.
Yeah, I was looking to see if there were any shots being fired in his direction while he came on the camera there.
That's
luckily,
Hillary you're talking
about. I beg your pardon. Yeah, we were under fire when we landed. I beg your pardon. Yeah, different false story.
But that's the reference there to the kids, and take it from Dr. Michael, who's got some background experience and education in this arena. When he talks about the indoctrination of kids and how problematic that is in their young minds to be told and fed a particular agenda and narrative, and how that will impact them as they grow and develop, and what that could look like in the landscape they could have as they grow older. Dr. Michael, one last topic before we let these freedom fighters and sheepdogs get back to their day.
Mm-hmm.
Arming teachers.
Oh, yeah.
You and I have had some discussions on this. In fact, we're working on a pretty good size national scale project to get this thing done. We've met some resistance because people think when they hear arming teachers that what the project is to go and give them a gun, mm-hmm. and say,
good luck
to you.
Right.
One of you mentioned that the president is, amongst many things, mental health being one, is actually doing something, or appears to be doing something. We will see, right? Mm-hmm. But the president has committed that by the end of the year, 2018, there will be something in place. We did see that in the state of Florida. Governor Scott managed to allocate $500 million towards school safety and security, and it would appear that the momentum is starting to shift away from just continually talking about the same thing that we've done for the last 20 years since Columbine, and actual resources are coming. And so Forward Movement Training is committed to doing what we do best in helping wherever we can. The project is not just arming teachers. The project is security and safety as a whole. That's education and training surrounding unarmed teachers as well. But are students less safe in a classroom if a teacher's got a firearm?
The answer to that question is all around the training and that comes with that process. If we and I were to walk into a classroom and hand out handguns willy-nilly like that, and just say, go for it, shoot whoever comes through the door that you don't like or you feel endangered by, we would go into a realm of, what bunny hole did I just fall down through? Right. So with regards to arming teachers, I assure you that no teacher would arm themselves that didn't feel safe and secure holding a weapon after we got through with the process of training them. So a lot of people don't know what they don't know. It was something we were talking about before we began the show today. So if you don't know what you don't know, you don't realize you're in a state of sort of unconscious incompetence, where you don't really realize it's the kind of the armchair quarterback, if you will, that person that sits on the couch.
Keyboard warrior.
Indeed. You're watching a football game and you're talking about how you would do so many things differently as you watch Tom Brady, maybe throw an interception. That's unconscious incompetence, because you don't even know how incompetent you are at that situation. By the time we would get done through the training and all that, you'd be in a state called unconscious competence. So good at what you do, you don't even have to think about it. Sort of like driving a car.
Yeah, it's muscle memory.
Muscle memory. You transfer all of that into muscle memory so you don't even have to think about it. That said, if I'm a criminal and I'm doing a calculus and I know that there are teachers that are in that particular school building that are armed, I probably will pick a different place to go, maybe one that has a sign out front that said this is a school or a gun-free zone, right, in order to do my bad stuff.
Yeah. You bring up many really valid points, as if you had a Ph.D. in this kind of stuff.
Oh, you'd think somebody had gone to school for a minute or something, but not true.
I guarantee there'll be some people out there who would try to negate you. They try to tell you you're wrong,
well,
and they've got a culinary arts degree. But, the reality is yeah, absolutely. You give anybody a gun. Now, we say you give a teacher a gun, you arm a teacher in a classroom, and is that classroom less safe? Well, if there's no training, if there's no proper selection, if there's no proper qualification, if there's no background checks done, if
no screening of these people in any way.
Right.
Sure.
I mean,
you're setting yourself up for a real problem with that.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no margin for error in this. We've got to end this threat against our kids. I've got an 8-year-old in elementary school, and believe me when I say my motivation is because my son and his classmates and all of those kids around the country who are hearing about this stuff, we should not have to worry about our kids going to school and feeling uncertain or stressed. We shouldn't have parents considering taking their kids out of school and homeschooling. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't have teachers having to even consider being armed.
Correct.
But the reality is the reality,
yeah.
right? And
we can hope things get better. And I like to tell folks, unlike the previous administration, hope is really not a strategy.
Right.
You know, if you're stuck on the side of Everest in a blizzard, you better do something instead of just sitting there and hoping things are going to change, because if you don't, you're going to die.
Yeah, you've got to be proactive.
You've got to be proactive. There are so many levels of security changes that can be made in schools. I know that there are several schools around here, for instance, in which you have a double door system of entry. Mm-hmm. The first one, you have to know the code to get in the door. The second one, you have to know a different code plus a fingerprint. Mm-hmm. And then when you get through that, then you're dealing with a security guard that looks you over and makes sure you are who you say you are, and you haven't done some kind of Jason Bourne fanciness with a fingerprint on a piece of tape or something. So, yeah, I mean, levels of security. Then the last resort, as we have always say, the last resort is to have to pull a firearm out and defend yourself or the children in the school. That's how you do it. You build levels.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and you're pointing out, denial systems and entry denial stuff. No parent. I don't want to see my son go to a school that resembles
Fort Knox.
Yeah, an institution of some sort. But you know what? There's ways of doing it where it's discreet. There's ways of you don't want a finger pad. You don't. Okay, then have a discrete camera and someone who buzzes you in at the front office.
There you go.
There's many different solutions out there when it comes to. Not even allowing them to come in. Of course, there's always the potential that the shooter could be an internal subject, right? Mm-hmm. They could be a disgruntled employee or a parent that makes their way in the valid way. But we have to consider all aspects of this thing. You bring up the unconscious incompetence aspect. People don't know what they don't know. And it's always funny to me, we've been at Forward Movement, we've been doing this for 4 years, and you and I come in with a pretty substantial background, even before that. And it always amazed me. So Idaho is a permitless carry state now. You don't even have to take any sort of class at all to conceal carry. We've been an open carry state for many years. We're a plain view state. We're very gun friendly, which is highly supported by our company. Mm-hmm. We're obviously a very two-way friendly company. But it's funny to me when you have somebody who is all up in arms about a teacher being armed and untrained and the threats that poses, but they don't put so much thought into the fact they have a gun in their drawer, in their nightstand, in the event of a home intrusion, with their kids in the next bedroom and their wife right next to them, and no training. Yeah. Unconscious incompetence spans the full spectrum. What are your thoughts on people who have? It's safe to say people who have a gun for self-defense purposes with no training or very limited training are unconsciously incompetent. Is that a fair enough statement?
It's a very fair statement. Absolutely, they have no real understanding of how much effort something takes to be prepared for it. And so, again, it's the armchair quarterback. They don't quite really realize, what's really going on. They're sitting in a place. They don't know what they don't know.
How do they get beyond it?
Well, they have to take proactive measures, or be coerced, or be exposed to something that allows them to become move into a realm of conscious incompetence. They have to begin to first understand, I don't know what I don't know about this. So that's where, it's the beginning stages of skill development, and then they gain a new understanding of how much effort the skill requires. And so